Most people approach manifestation as if it's something that happens step by step, moment by moment, in a straight line like climbing a ladder to your goal. We've been conditioned to believe that if we just think positively long enough, visualize hard enough, and wait patiently, eventually things will show up. But that's not how reality truly works. That's a linear way of thinking, and linear thinking belongs to the physical world, not the quantum one. In the quantum field, there is no past or future. Everything that could ever exist already exists right now as pure potential. Every version of you, every possible outcome, every dream you've ever imagined. They're all vibrating in the same space, simultaneously. The difference between the version of you who has everything you desire and the one who's still striving for it isn't time, it's frequency. It's alignment. See, when people say it takes time to manifest, what they really mean is it takes time for me to become aligned with what I'm asking for. But alignment isn't about waiting. It's about collapsing the gap between who you think you are and what already is. It's about understanding that manifestation doesn't unfold over time, it unfolds outside of time. The moment your energy matches the reality you desire, the shift happens instantly. Think about it like tuning a radio. All the stations are already broadcasting right now at this very moment. You don't create a new station by twisting the dial, you simply tune into the one that's already playing. Manifestation works exactly the same way. You're not creating something from nothing. You're tuning your consciousness to a frequency that already exists in the quantum field. And here's the thing, your body, your emotions, your thoughts, they're not separate systems. They're instruments of frequency. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions are in harmony, you're broadcasting a coherent signal. That coherence is what the quantum field responds to. That's when the waiting disappears, because there's no distance left between desire and realization. Now, does that mean you can sit back and do nothing? Not at all. But it does mean your doing needs to flow from being, not from lack, not from chasing, but from a place of knowing. Because when you know something is already done, your actions carry a different energy. They're lighter, sharper, more effective. You're no longer pushing against time. You're moving with the current of it. That's why quantum manifestation is faster. It doesn't bend the rules of physics, it reveals that you've been misunderstanding the game. You're not running toward your future. Your future is waiting for you to align with it. So the next time you catch yourself thinking, it's not happening yet, remember it already has. You're just tuning in. And the moment your energy clicks into place, you won't have to chase the result. It will collapse right into your reality, because in the quantum field, the speed of manifestation isn't measured in time, it's measured in alignment. Most people believe the universe gives them what they want. They think if they write it down enough times, visualize it long enough, or speak it into existence, somehow reality will listen. But that's not quite how the quantum field operates. The universe doesn't respond to what you say, it responds to what you are. It doesn't measure the words that leave your mouth, it measures the vibration that leaves your being. You can say, "I am abundant," 1,000 times, but if underneath those words, your frequency is still scarcity, fear, doubt, or lack, then that's the signal the field receives. It's not personal, it's physics. You don't get what you want because wanting comes from separation. Wanting says it's not here yet. Frequency says it already is. And that subtle shift in energy changes everything. Here's where it gets interesting. Every emotion you feel is a form of energetic data. A vibration that carries a specific signal into the field. Gratitude, peace, joy, these are high-frequency states. Worry, frustration, insecurity, lower ones. The field doesn't judge them, it simply mirrors them back. So when you live in gratitude, when you breathe from peace instead of tension, you're not pretending things are fine, you're aligning with the energy where everything is fine. It's like standing in front of a mirror. You can't change your reflection by yelling at it or by asking it to smile. You have to smile first. The universe works the same way. It reflects back the emotional reality you hold inside. That's why people who feel abundant before the money arrives tend to magnetize more opportunities, more synchronicities, more effortless momentum. They're not lucky, they're resonant. Now, I'm not saying emotion is everything. You still live in a world that requires action, but emotion gives that action direction. When you act from lack, your steps are heavy. You're chasing what you don't yet believe you have. But when you act from alignment, from the knowing that it's already unfolding, you're in sync with life's intelligence. The right ideas show up, people appear at the right time, things click. It looks like magic, but it's resonance. You can't fake frequency, you can only become it. That's why the inner work matters, not because it's spiritual, but because it's mechanical. When your heart, mind, and body move in coherence, your frequency stabilizes. The field recognizes coherence as clarity, and clarity collapses possibility into form. So, stop trying to convince the universe with your words. It's already fluent in the language of your energy. Speak through your vibration, not your vocabulary. Because your emotions aren't just responses, they're commands. They're how you code reality. And once you realize that the universe doesn't respond to what you want, but to what you are, you'll stop asking for the life you desire and start embodying it. Because the moment your frequency says yes, the universe doesn't hesitate. It says yes or right back. In quantum physics, there's a principle called the observer effect, the idea that the very act of observing something changes it. On a subatomic level, particles don't have a definite position or behavior until they're observed. They exist in a cloud of possibilities, waves of potential, and the moment you look, the wave collapses into one outcome. You literally decide what becomes real by observing it. Now, take that out of the lab and into your life, because whether you realize it or not, you're observing your reality all the time through your thoughts, your beliefs, your expectations. And just like in the quantum field, whatever you keep observing with emotional conviction becomes the version of reality that solidifies around you. Most people don't realize how powerful that is. They wake up every day and keep observing the same problems, the same limitations, the same story about who they are and what's not working. And then they wonder why nothing changes. But here's the truth. They're not stuck in their situation. They're stuck in their observation of it. The longer you keep observing lack, the longer lack keeps existing as your dominant reality. You can't experience abundance while constantly observing scarcity. You can't experience freedom while focusing on constraint. The energy you bring to your awareness, the attention you give, is what the field translates into form. So when you shift what you observe, you shift what exists. That's not just mindset. That's quantum mechanics. Imagine if you woke up tomorrow and chose to observe differently. Instead of noticing what's missing, you begin to notice what's emerging. Instead of rehearsing the story of "I'm not there yet," you start seeing subtle evidence that you already are. Those small shifts in observation begin to move energy in ways you can't see because attention is creation in motion. You've probably experienced this before without realizing it. Maybe you bought a new car and suddenly you saw that same model everywhere. The cars were always there, your brain just wasn't tuned to notice them. That's the observer effect in action. The same thing happens energetically. When you decide to observe abundance, synchronicities appear. When you focus on opportunity, doors open that you never noticed before. Nothing outside you changed, you did. The universe isn't withholding anything from you. It's responding to where you're looking from. If you keep staring at the problem, you keep energizing it. But when you begin to see through the eyes of completion, as if it's already done, the field reorganizes itself around that truth. Because energy flows where attention goes, and attention, at its core, is observation made conscious. So if you want to change your reality, change what you're observing. Stop waiting for proof and start seeing through faith. Look at your world not as it is, but as it could be, and hold that vision steady long enough for reality to catch up. Because the moment you stop observing lack and start observing completion, you stop being the observer of your old life and become the creator of your new one. Here's what most people don't realize: you never attract what you want. You attract what you are. You can visualize your dream life every morning, repeat affirmations until your voice cracks, and fill entire journals with your goals. But if deep down you still identify as the person who doesn't have those things, the field will reflect that identity right back to you. The universe doesn't respond to your wish list, it responds to your state of being. Identity is the fastest, most direct route to manifestation because it bypasses the layers of wanting and waiting. When you think in terms of I want, you create a gap between yourself and what you desire. But when you begin to embody I am, that gap disappears. You collapse the separation between who you believe you are and the version of you that already lives the reality you're asking for. Think about it, every version of you already exists in the quantum field. There's a version of you who's confident, abundant, healthy, fulfilled, deeply at peace. And there's also the version of you who doubts, fears, and hesitates. The question isn't which one you'll create, it's which one you'll choose to become conscious of. You shift timelines not by doing more but by being differently. When people hear become the person who already has it, they think it's about pretending, but this isn't about faking confidence or playing make-believe. It's about activating the emotional and energetic blueprint of the version of you who already knows it's done. You don't fake the feeling, you find it. You locate it inside yourself, and you practice staying there until it becomes your natural frequency. Here's where the real acceleration happens. Once identity shifts, behavior follows automatically. You don't have to force discipline, motivation, or belief. They emerge naturally from who you are. A person who identifies as healthy doesn't struggle to choose nutritious food. It's simply what they do. A person who sees themselves as abundant doesn't question if opportunities will come, they expect them. And life mirrors that expectation. So instead of asking, how do I get what I want? A more powerful question is, who would I be if I already had it? And then start living from that energy, not someday, but now. How would that version of you speak? How would they move, think, and make decisions? Every time you choose in alignment with that identity, you're broadcasting a new frequency to the field, and the field has no choice but to respond in kind. That's why identity is the short cut. It's the energy signature the quantum field locks onto. You're not trying to become something new. You're remembering who you already are beneath the noise of old beliefs. The moment you stop identifying with your limitations, they stop existing as your truth. Because when your self-concept aligns with your desired reality, manifestation stops being a process. It becomes a reflection. You don't chase it, you don't wait for it, you simply are it, and the universe always mirrors who you are. Most people think the harder they work, the faster things will happen. They believe that if they push, grind, and force reality into submission, eventually it'll yield. But in the quantum field, effort doesn't equal speed, alignment does. The universe doesn't respond to struggle, it responds to coherence. When your energy is fragmented, when your mind says one thing, but your heart feels another, you send out a mixed signal. The field can't lock onto confusion, no matter how much action you take. We live in a world that glorifies effort, the hustle, the grind, the constant movement, and while effort has its place, it becomes counterproductive when it's driven by lack. When you're acting from the energy of it's not here yet, every step reinforces that story. You're broadcasting absence instead of presence, want instead of having, separation instead of connection. That's why the more some people chase what they want, the further it seems to drift away. Alignment, on the other hand, feels entirely different. It's not passive, it's precise. It's not about doing nothing, it's about doing from a place of knowing. When your inner state and your outer actions are in harmony, things begin to unfold with ease. Doors open that logic can't explain. Conversations happen at just the right moment. Timing aligns effortlessly. You're no longer fighting reality. You're flowing with it. Think about a river. You can thrash against the current, trying to swim upstream, exhausting yourself in resistance, or you can learn to float, to align with the natural direction of the flow. One way burns energy, the other channels it. That's the difference between effort and alignment. The moment you stop trying to control every variable and instead trust the direction of your own energy, momentum builds without friction. That's why stillness is powerful. It's not laziness, it's recalibration. When you take a moment to breathe, to center yourself, to realign your state before acting, you move with precision. You stop scattering your energy and start amplifying it. The paradox is that when you stop forcing, you actually move faster because your energy is coherent, clean, focused, and magnetically attractive. When people say let go, they're not telling you to give up. They're telling you to release resistance, because resistance is what slows energy down. The moment you relax into knowing, truly knowing, that what you desire is already forming, you create the conditions for rapid manifestation. The quantum field doesn't respond to tension, it responds to trust. Effort belongs to the world of time. Alignment belongs to the world of energy, and energy moves infinitely faster than time ever could. So if you want things to move quickly, stop trying to outwork the universe and start working with it. Because the truth is, speed doesn't come from struggle. It comes from surrender, not the kind that means giving up, but the kind that means tuning in. When you align with what's already yours, life accelerates around you. You stop chasing the current, and the current starts carrying you. Here's a truth that surprises most people when they first hear it: you're not actually creating anything new when you manifest. You're remembering, you're tuning into what already exists in the quantum field. Every possibility, every version of your life, every future you could ever imagine is already out there, vibrating right now. You're not inventing abundance, love, health, or purpose. You're shifting your awareness to the timeline where those things are already real. This changes everything, because when you realize manifestation isn't about making something happen, but about remembering what's already true, the pressure dissolves. You stop trying to force outcomes, and instead, you begin to align your perception with what already is. You stop striving to get there and start remembering you've already arrived. It's like walking into a room filled with hundreds of radio stations all playing at once. You can't hear them all, but they're all there waiting for you to tune in. Your consciousness is the dial. When you align your frequency with a certain reality, that version of life becomes audible, visible, and tangible. You don't create it, you reveal it. The field has already done the heavy lifting. You're simply learning how to listen. This is why quantum manifestation can happen so fast. You're not building from scratch. You're collapsing into recognition. The moment you remember that the version of you who already has it exists right now, you begin to resonate with that timeline. And resonance is instant. It doesn't take time, it takes awareness. The more you remember who you truly are, infinite, whole, connected to everything, the faster reality rearranges to reflect that knowing. The challenge is that most people are suffering from energetic amnesia. They've forgotten their own power. They wake up each day rehearsing limitation, repeating stories of lack, fear, and separation. They're not broken, they're just tuned to a narrow bandwidth of what's possible. When you expand your awareness, when you remember that you are the observer and the creator at once, you reclaim your ability to shift realities with intention. This remembering isn't intellectual, it's experiential. It happens the moment you feel it in your body, when gratitude floods your system for no reason, when peace arrives before the outcome does, when joy appears before there's proof. That's you remembering. That's your energy synchronizing with the frequency of your higher self. And in that moment, manifestation stops being a chase and becomes a reflection. You're not summoning something new, you're letting go of the version of you that forgot. You're peeling back layers of disbelief until truth stands clear and visible. And when you finally see it, when you remember who you've always been, reality has no choice but to catch up. Because in the quantum field, nothing is created and nothing is lost, everything already exists. The only question is whether you'll remember it in time, and the moment you do, That's when the universe remembers you. So if there's one thing I want you to take away from all of this, it's this: manifestation was never about chasing, forcing, or waiting. It's about remembering, aligning, and allowing. You don't have to beg the universe for what's already yours. You just have to tune yourself to the frequency where it already exists. Because when your thoughts, emotions, and identity move in harmony, when you stop observing lack and start embodying wholeness, the quantum field responds instantly. What once felt far away collapses into the now. You begin to see that reality was never against you. It was always waiting for your permission to change. Everything you've ever desired is already here, already humming beneath the surface of your awareness, waiting for you to remember it into being. The universe isn't holding back, it's holding still, until you align with the version of yourself that can see it clearly. And when you finally do, when you stop striving and start being, that's when the magic happens. That's when the quantum field moves without resistance. That's when manifestation stops taking time and starts taking form. Because the truth is, it was never about speed at all. It was always about alignment. And the moment you align, everything moves faster than time itself.